Well, yeah, you can see the red on the screen, although the NASDAQ just 2 points higher. We know that many investors are fleeing the markets, but what's the venture capital world? You know, the gutsy people who throw money at moonshots and startups. What are they doing in this atmosphere? Well, former Disney CEO Bob Iger is actually diving in, joining Josh Kushner's venture firm Thrive Capital. And then the Wall Street Journal reporting that Masayoshi Son's SoftBank Group is looking to launch a third vision fund, despite massive losses at the two earlier funds run by the global tech investor. And, you know, they get into a lot of startups there. And former Cisco Systems CEO John Chambers, now working on a computer networking startup called Nile. Chambers owns 10% of the company via his investment firm JC2 Ventures, but other investors in Nile include 8VC, run by Joe Lonsdale, who joins me now in a Fox Business exclusive. The 8VC CEO is also co-founder of Palantir Technologies. Great to have you.
Thanks, Liz. Great to be here.
When I point out all of those headlines, can I just get it straight from the horse's mouth, how you're absorbing all of the market moves and the atmosphere that we have, which is a rising rate environment?
You know, late stage technology has sold off a lot in the public markets, probably has a lot more to come down in the private markets. But I'll tell you what, the innovation world, the venture capital world, this is where the most competent people are in the US. It's where we're building the most important companies. Legends like John Chambers, who've, you know, scaled up companies in the US to giant places. That's where he's going to go to work with the best people to build new things.
Well, listen, it was just about, I want to say a year and a half ago when VCs, well, the SPAC world was also very hot, those reverse mergers.
Yeah.
Valuations went up. Things got so frothy. And I mean, we know the stories about Tiger Global, who spent so much money on startups that the funding rounds just became too rich for a lot of people who are true experts at this.
It forced us to earlier stage. We used to do what's called Series Bs and Cs a lot, and it forced us to build more companies to do very early because all the hedge funds were coming in and paying a lot more for these companies.
What is the sort of I guess, the negative that you're seeing now from all of that?
Well, you know, during that time, talent got to be really expensive. It's good for the talent. It's harder for people who are building companies. Right now, the fact that the money stepped out, it means it's, once again, easier to build companies, easier to get talent. The big question will be, is there enough money to follow on to the best companies? So far, the answer is yes. There's so much money that was raised. Valuations still haven't come down nearly as much as we'd like to be late-stage investors.
And yet you're going in, certainly on a name like Nile. Tell us about that company. What is it about Nile that has you making a spend here?
Sure. Well, the two things in venture capital that you want to do, one is you want to bet on the very best talent in the world in a space, and two is the question of what's possible now that wasn't possible before. And there's a lot's changed in the last decade, thanks to the cloud, thanks to AI, and those changes are really positive for a lot of industries. That hasn't yet come to networking. So right now, companies still spend $75 billion a year configuring their networks. It's a giant mess. You have to hire all sorts of people. It's really hard. Applying AI to that, making it just work automatically, making it monitor itself. These are types of things that Pankaj and John Chambers know how to do. It's a huge space to fix.
I like what you just said, where things that weren't possible become possible, and that's what helps you sometimes make a decision about putting money in. But how does a rising interest rate environment affect startups who need to borrow a lot of money to get going?
You do need to raise a lot of money for these companies, and you've seen, of course, crypto's getting slammed by higher interest rates. Like, a lot of liquidity went into it. A lot of liquidity is obviously being sucked out of the economy now with rates going up. So I think the valuations of high-growth tech companies are coming down a lot, thanks to interest rates going up, but it doesn't change the fact that there's just amazing opportunities and amazing innovation still happening. America's ahead of the whole world. This is like the best part of the competent part of our country is innovating to fix problems, and so we're still doing that.
You know, can I ask you about crypto? Because I know that you had said in the past that you didn't think we should have, at least the Treasury Department should have a currency,
That's right.
You know, a cryptocurrency or a digital currency.
I don't like them to be able to turn off people's money. Yeah, exactly. That's not a good idea.
Not a good idea. But how do you feel about the crypto space? You making any investments there?
You know, I think long term for humanity, it's a huge innovation to be able to have a decentralized currency and to be able to have nobody in charge necessarily, but still to know who owns what. So I think over the long term, if Elon has a colony on Mars, what currency are we going to use? Probably be crypto. But in the near term, and it makes most sense. It makes the most sense long term for something. But in the near term, it was driven by huge speculation, huge amounts of cheap money that came in an environment with lots of money, and it's trading like a high growth tech stock. You say, what is crypto trading like? It's basically like a super high growth tech stock. not necessarily something you want to be long right now with valuations where they are.
Well, sure. And 8VC has also invested in companies that deal with government defense and data. And of course, your co-founder, Palantir, the big data company. That company has struggled a bit. You're not a part of it anymore, certainly, as far as...
It's ironic because the business has done amazingly well the last couple of years.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I started Palantir with Peter and Alex, my couple co-founders, 19 years ago. I'm not involved anymore, but it's amazing. The margins are going up. They're growing well. They're solving huge problems. They're becoming a platform that other people are building on top of. And it's funny, I was just with Alex at my birthday a little bit ago.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. And he turned 40. And it's really funny because he's finally got the business going really, really well. But high growth tech is sold off. But I think Palantir from here has really bright prospects.
Well, you talk about how secure Palantir is because they do a lot of business with the government. Certainly,
they help over 40 countries collaborate to get the bad guys.
Wow, I mean, I am sure it's pretty rock solid over there when it comes to firewalls, et cetera. Yesterday we had the Twitter whistleblower testifying on Capitol Hill, and he had some very serious concerns that scared a lot of people, certainly in Congress, about infiltration by Chinese, et cetera, and that employees can actually access some of that data.
They can. There's a lot of shenanigans going on inside of big tech. What I do is not big consumer tech. I'm not running YouTube, Facebook, Google, and Twitter. These companies have people inside of them who have radical ideologies, and they're changing the dials to help their ideology go up and other things be squashed. And it needs to be more transparent. I totally agree with Elon about that.
Speaking of Elon. Well, you got a subpoena by Twitter, 62-page long subpoena.
Yeah.
Are you picking your outfit for the deposition?
They might not make me get deposed, which means I probably shouldn't say anything more mean about them. Otherwise, they will. But I have nothing to do with that particular purchase because we invest early stage.
Why do you think you got subpoenaed? Just from texts?
Probably because people know that I see Elon sometimes, and that I have strong views that agree with his, and they might have assumed he might have told me special secrets they can use against him somehow. But unfortunately for them, I haven't really caught up with him very much on this particular topic.
All right. Well, so you think you might not be deposed?
I hope not. We'll see.
Yeah,
I'd rather spend time with my girls.
Yeah. You got 4 of them.
I do.
Just like my family, 4 girls, and then my little brother Brooke. Yes, the Messiah. They finally arrived. Great to have you, Joe.
Thanks,
Thank you
Liz.
very much. Joe Lonsdale.